Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. It's great having you back with us. In this particular lesson, I am going to show you how you can plot various interactive graphs and charts from pivot table, which will be very much beautiful as well as interactive and attractive. So in our previous lesson, we can remember that we worked on pivot table. So in this lesson, I'm going to be showing us how we can work on a pivot chart as well. So on our pivot analysis 1, we have a question which says find the average discount rate and profit margin for each product category. So to do this, we have to create a pivot table before we can actually create our pivot chart. So to create our pivot table, we click on any cell where we want our pivot table to be. Then we proceed to the Insert tab and then click on Pivot Table, and then we go over to our data worksheet and then select the whole data we have. We select the whole data and then we click OK. So now we have our pivot table. So the next thing we have to do is to input the appropriate values in each section. So we are going to be having the discount rates and profit margin in the value section, and then so let's do that. Now we're going to be having our product category in the column section. So we'll take our product category and take it over to the column section. Then the values that we have here, we're going to take it over to the row section. So you remember we're asked to find the average discount rate and profit margin. So we'll come over to the values here. What we have here is sum. So we have to change it to average. So we'll click on this drop down here. Then we select value field settings and then we change it to average, and then we click on OK. We'll do the same thing for a profit margin. Value field settings, change it to average, and then we'll click OK as well. So now we have our pivot table. Just remaining one last thing to do, which is to change our values to percentages, because we are dealing with average. So we'll change all of them to percentages, and we go over here, then change this to percentage. Then we reduce the number of decimals we have, we decrease them. So now we have we've successfully calculated the average discount rate and profit margin for each product category. And now we are going to plot a pivot chart or an appropriate graph for this visualization that will be completely based on this pivot table that we have. So let us proceed. So the next thing we are going to do is to select any of the cell on this pivot table, then proceed to the options tab, and then we go over to pivot chart. We click on that, and then we will see that Excel has provided us with the most appropriate chart, which is clustered column chart. So we click on that. So we have the clustered column chart. Just make you drag it over here, so we have it here. Next, we are going to organize this particular visualization from the design tab, or as it is in my case, from the chart tools tab. So we click on the design tab or the chart tools tab, and we are going to first select the quick layout, which is over here. So click on this particular option, and we know that the layout 9 is the most appropriate layout for data visualization in Excel. So we select it. We select the layout 9, which is this. So the next thing we'll do is to provide the chart title, and in this case our title is going to be the average discount rate and profit margin by product category. So you can also provide title to the y-axis over here. So we are going to call this percentage, and then to the numeric axis we are going to name here value. So that is all. You can see the legend, that is the legend for the bars. You see that the blue bars represent beauty and health, the orange bar represents clothing, the gray bar represents electronics, the yellow represents home and kitchen, and then the sky blue represents sports and outdoors. So this is how you can plot most appropriate graphs and charts from pivot table. And now we are going to add a filter, which is also called the slicer, for both table and graph. So we are going to add a slicer for the city variable. That means we are going to filter the output to check the average discount rate and profit margin for each product category for different cities. We are going to proceed to the pivot table analysis tab, or as my own case, we are going to proceed to the options tab. And here you can see the option inside slicer. Now we are going to click on it, on the inside slicer option, to get this dialog, and then we want to select which variable we want to input as a slicer, and in this case we want the city variable. So we have to check the city variable, and then we hit OK. So we have our slicer here. I just make small adjustments. There we have it. Now we have the slicer here, and we have all the cities. You can go up and down to see the rest of the cities. So for example, if we want to check the average discount rate and profit margin for the city Chicago, so if we select Chicago, you'll see that your graph and your table will adjust. So from the graph, you can see that the profit margin is higher for sports and outdoors. This is the highest profit margin, and lower for clothing. So here you can see that the profit margin here is the lowest. And then if we go over to the average discount rate, we can see that over here that clothing is the highest, and then home and kitchen is the lowest, for average discount rate. So suppose that we want to select more than one city at a time. For this, we have to hold the shift key or the control key, and then we select another city, select another one. In this case, I've selected Chicago, Dallas and Houston, and you can see that as we selected them, our chart and our pivot table equally changed at the same time. And for this, you can see that the clothing products category has the highest average discount rates. So that is all for this. Now let's go ahead and move to the pivot analysis tool. So for this, we're going to be providing a pivot chart as well as a slicer for this pivot table. As you can see, the question says find the average sale and quantity sold by regions for each product category. So I've gone ahead to do the pivot table, as you can see, which we've done in our previous lessons as well. So if you don't know how to do that, do well to check out that video. So I'm going to go ahead and click on any cell on the pivot table, then go over to the options tab, then click on pivot chart, and Excel has provided us by default the most appropriate chart, which is the clustered column chart. So I'll click on that, and because this chart is a large one, I'll have to make some adjustments. So I've tried to increase it. So we are going to proceed to the chart tools or the design tab, as the case may be, and here we can see we are going to go to change chart type, because for this visualization I think the combo chart is the best. So we'll click here on change chart type, and then we select combo. So this is the combo chart, so we'll click on that. You can see that it has changed to combo chart. Next thing we'll do is to proceed to the quick layout under charts tools or the design tab, as the case may be. We click on quick layout, and then for this we'll also select the layout 9. We'll click on layout 9. This is layout 9. Click on layout 9. Next thing is to provide the chart title and then the axis title as well. So for the chart title, we'll be having average sales and quantity sold by region for product category. We can also decide to drag our legend, which is this, to drag it below the title. So for this, we'll proceed to add chart element. So we'll go over here to add chart element. And then we'll proceed to legend, and then we proceed and click on top. So now what axis, we are going to have values here, and then on the other axis we are going to have regions. So that's all. Our chart is now completely ready. So the next thing to do is to add a slicer to this particular chart. So we'll proceed to the options tab or to the pivot chart analysis, maybe. Then we proceed to, as I said, to the options tab, then we click on insert slicer, and then we'll choose the variable, or we'll check the variable that we want to put in our slicer. So we check the customer segment and then we'll click OK. So we have our slicer here. Just make an adjustment, put it here. So from here you can select one or more customer segments to adjust your data and output. So suppose you want to select the wholesale customer segment. You can see your output has been adjusted for this data. In the North region, the electronics has the lowest. It has the least amount of revenue to the whole wholesale customer segment. But you can also see in the North region that the home and kitchen product category were sold the highest to the wholesale customer segment. So this is how you can leverage the power of pivot charts and the slicer to derive significant insights much more attractively and instantly. So we've come to the end of this tutorial. Hope you enjoy.